Recording in progress. That's what it is. What's up, everybody? This is the Five Gugs.
Hello.
Thanks for following us on Pinterest. Thanks for subscribing on LinkedIn. That's all I got.
All right, well, that works.
I'm going to Spotify soon.
Spotify soon, yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
Wherever else you get your podcast needs from, we'll be there.
All right,
that's my least favorite when they talk about we're available on Apple Podcasts and Patreon and Google Podcasts, wherever else you get your podcasts.
Like,
from.
Where else do you think we get them from?
Yeah, you think I'm listening on fucking Ghetto Cast? Like
Apple Podcasts now streaming on Apple Podcasts now.
What I don't much understand is like when people do podcasts, why does it always seem like they have like just one guy in the background?
That's like a producer normally.
I know, but like, why is he talking? Like you do like. I want to put out a name for like I guess Howard Stern, for example. You got the one guy that's like off mic.
Oh, like the engineer.
Yeah, and he's just like he's part of like the group where you can barely hear.
Well, he tries to like they try and keep like order if there is an order, or like if they have a guest, they kind of try and have like some type of like rhythm, so it's not just like off the rails. I think it works better if it's off the rails.
I honestly think it's better off the rails because it's much more genuine and less.
It's
funnier.
I
mean, I think it depends. I feel like on a show like Stern, where he started out on like regular radio. When you're moving off of that, it probably does help to have like somebody in the background just to make sure if things don't get too off topic or whatever. But I guess if you're doing a podcast, it's like things can get as off topic as anybody wants. So
we don't have one of those guys yet.
Yeah, no.
Or gal, guy or gal.
They usually have like a.
All right, you're fucking liberal.
But anyway, freaking end of the year. Anyone got any like Christmas ideas? I mean, Christmas, whatever.
Plans?
Yeah, plans.
No, probably not.
Freaking
nothing crazy. No, not really.
It actually makes me really sad because like freaking I remember back before COVID hit that this whole like I used to be actually like into it, but after everything kind of just winded down, it's kind of just like stopped doing holidays altogether. Freaking
you kind of can't.
Well, it's like
to a crazy extent you can't, like with like a bunch of people. Like you can, but not everyone's gonna show up because people are probably like, I don't want to risk it.
I know, but even now when it's like a little more lenient, like people still don't want to do holidays because I think COVID kind of just sucked the thrill out of life. Apparently,
yeah. See, so that's why my whole idea is like we need to just speed through the Greek alphabet. Like right now we got what Omicron variant or whatever. We need to just keep going.
Yeah, they're
halfway
through it.
If that's the whole thing, is we're just going through all these different variants, then all right, we're on Omicron right now. That's like halfway through the Greek alphabet. We got to get to like the at the end, we'll get to the Omega variant. That's what we need. So let's just speed it up. Let's just speed it up.
Did they get to beta or alpha, or did it just go to Omicron?
We just went to Omicron because it sounds cooler.
No, I think Alpha was like the original one.
Yeah.
And then there was a beta, but it wasn't really that big a deal. And then Delta was a big deal.
I'm looking at it right now. They skipped Gamma. They went Alpha, Beta, skipped Gamma.
Gamma was kind of cool.
Then it skipped 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 other letters to get to Omicron.
Wait. We skipped Gamma?
Yeah. Dude, was there a Gamma variant? I don't remember that part.
I don't remember one, but like, what if that's just how we taught kids? Like when we're teaching them the alphabet?
Why
the Greek alphabet?
No, probably just the regular alphabet. We're like A, B, D, E, G.
Yeah, just the important one. A is most important because A is in every letter, every word.
Why are we using Greek alphabet anyways? Why don't we just call it COVID-20, COVID-21?
I just feel like that you're just setting yourself up for disappointment when you think the new year is going to be different, and then it's like, oh, nope, COVID 2022, January 1st. Put your mask back on.
Listen, until all the even so, people are not going to put their mask on still because someone told them to.
Yeah, everyone's kind of over that already.
That was like a fun thing when for a while it was like people, there were some people that didn't want to wear masks because it was like, oh, it's fake, or oh, it's just going to go away or whatever. And then the vaccines started coming out and people were getting vaccinated. And then those same people who weren't going to wear the mask at first because they didn't want to get vaccinated were like, oh no, so now I'll just start wearing a mask. You can't force this vaccine on me.
Oh my goodness. See, I hate that. I don't know what's with this whole rebellious phase. I think it's more because like just people saying don't do this and like you do the opposite.
Yeah.
Like,
The moment you tell someone you can't do something, then it's just like, well, now I have to do it because you just told me I can't do it.
that's some kid shit, honestly. Like really, it's like really childish. Cause like if you ever worked a day in your life, there's always gonna be someone you're gonna report. Yeah.
How it was when it first came out, like how nobody could get it. They need to just keep it like that, so then people want it because then they can't get it.
But no, but now they see it's a trap. It's not like
well, it's like I think it's because of like punishment. Like what's the worst that can happen if you go out in public and you don't wear a mask?
You have a good chance you could catch it and die.
Well, true, but like not everyone is susceptible to catching it. I mean, everyone is, but not everyone. I know a lot of people who don't wear a mask and they haven't got it since COVID last year in March.
Even on that, like there's a lot of people who like, if you're, I don't know how controversial we're getting here, but I'm down to get like,
whatever
fucking censored by Facebook for false information or whatever. If you're like young and otherwise healthy and you get it, you're probably not going to die. You're going to get sick for a little while.
Yeah,
but
that's what
it's not a huge deal.
If you're in good health, but like you there's some people that just won't, like they have some kind of illness but just won't say it because they don't want to get the restrictions on them. And then when it hits, they're gonna like deny it to high hell. That I was.
Did any of you guys get COVID? Like or got sick?
Well, I feel like a lot of us probably think we got it at some point.
I think I did, but I'm not 100%
sure.
That's cap.
I think I did.
Why would I cap about that? Why would I lie about that?
I got COVID.
Hence me saying I don't know if I got it, but I remember December 2019 being incredibly sick for like 3 days. Yeah, it was bad.
Same.
Like the worst.
That's cap. He wants the clout. He just wants to cause.
Why would I?
COVID.
I haven't the first time. This is the first time I've been sick. It's almost.
I survived COVID. It ain't a big deal.
This is the first time I brought that up. That was like 2 years ago.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like a lot of us, like I was sick around the same time, like late 2019, early 2020, where I think a lot of us kind of feel like we had it. But even then, like the job that I was working, I ended up like we got to do like a yearly medical test kind of thing where they would tell you like, your cholesterol levels and general health stuff. And the last year they were testing for COVID antibodies and I didn't really have them. So I probably didn't have it.
Can you give the listeners some context as to what you do for work? I'm sure they're probably curious what all that means.
Well, so now it's a little different. I got a new job about a month ago, but what I was doing for 3 years, really, I was working night shift in a medical lab. And the first couple of years, nothing was really happening. But when COVID hit, things kind of changed. And we were basically, I was the guy who was receiving all of the frozen samples. So a lot of your COVID tests, they were probably frozen out on dry ice and they were sent to the company I was working at. And not all of them, but a good chunk of them. Like we were getting a lot of them. And so basically all I was doing was I would get those tests in like those little, sometimes they would come in a little box. Sometimes they would just come in a little bag. But it was, the swab that you might have shoved up your nose and gagged on like you were a porn star.
The swab.
I was getting those and I was receiving them, making sure all the information was good and sending them a couple of floors upstairs or out to another state to make sure they would get tested so you would know whether you had COVID or not.
Interesting.
And,
oh no, you can keep going.
Okay. I just want to say it was also like it was kind of funny thinking of like the first day that we got a COVID sample where it was like wash, like take the disinfect your station beforehand. And if you got that COVID sample, go give it to Marcus and he'll make sure that everything's good. And then I had to wipe down my area afterwards, because at first it was just sort of a thing where we maybe got one every other day, and then it was a couple every day. And it just,
was this like before March, like March 2020, like when it was like the lockdowns?
This was before lockdowns. This was when it was like
Okay.
first breaking into the news, and everybody was really terrified about it because
I remember that.
So we were being really careful about it and everything. And then after that, after a while, we were getting so many where we weren't disinfecting things, we weren't taking a bunch of arbitrary precautions. Everything was basically just getting dumped into these coolers of dry ice.
Jesus.
there was stuff that was supposed to come in, some stuff got lost. Like it was a crazy fucking time. It was crazy to be working in that lab. My the strongest memory I have was one day where I ended up working like 20 hours in a row.
Damn.
Just to
God damn.
Oh, I mean, it sounds terrible, but that OT was fucking.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But yeah, things got really out of hand. But anyway,
so do you guys COVID test at your job? I have to do it every week at my job. They just make us like spit in like these little vial things, and then like you like disinfect it, and then you put it in a little plastic bag with your name on it, and then you put in like this like bucket thing, and then it gets shipped off. So do you guys do that, or like?
So we were probably the people that were testing the things that got shipped off. But basically, when I was working at that job, what we were supposed to do was we were supposed to check in at this like automatic temperature scanner station at the beginning of our shift.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I used to do that too.
Yeah, and that was basically it. And we had to wear a mask, and that was it.
Oh, okay. So it was like not lax, but like pretty self-sufficient. Like you pretty much had to take the initiative on your own.
Yeah, it was pretty lax. And at the end of the day, like if you weren't wearing a mask, even like management, like they weren't going to come down hard on you because this is Alabama. So
True. True. I was gonna say you're
okay, there you go. There you got it.
Is there like a disinfecting process like when you go in and out of the building? Like
no.
No, really? Wow.
No, none of that.
Actually, before we strayed too far off the topic, I actually had a story about like the COVID testing. So me and my family, we went to Bahamas like several months ago, and we had to stand in line for one of these COVID testings. So I'm gonna remind you, the sign says quick COVID testing. There was a line that went almost out of the airport because we were coming back. We were going back home after our Bahamas trip. And once we actually got to the line and got there, they were doing the cotton swab up the nose test. And normally you think they go all the way up. Well, normally it goes all the way up to your brain, right?
Well, no, but yeah.
Well,
it's pretty high up. It goes pretty high up.
Well, it should make you uncomfortable. Yeah.
Mine.
Yeah.
The one they did to us was none of that. All they did was kind of rim the little inner part of your nose and call it a day. They didn't care. And they made us charge $30 for that test.
You had to pay for it?
You had to pay for it.
Yeah, they finessed you.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if you're traveling like out of country or like out of the United States, and they have you do a COVID test, it's just like most of it is like, honestly, if I think of it, how the airports are handling it, it's more of like a cash grab, if anything.
Oh, absolutely.
Because we even came in with our like vaccination cards and like our all information, but we still had to do the test.
That's so funny. I feel like just mostly because like, well, for the most part, a majority of this group is in Seattle, so it's just more like strict. But going down south, it's like I don't want to say like nobody, but like when I was in Texas, I didn't see anybody. I actually felt self-conscious wearing a mask. Like,
right. I want to ask you guys about that.
It was so
I want to
weird
ask you guys about that
there.
because, yeah, you guys are all up in the Seattle area, but I'm down here in Birmingham, Alabama, and like when I go to the grocery store, it's sort of a mask recommended policy there where I still wear one because I feel like anywhere I go where the employees are expected to wear one, like I'll wear one because I feel like it's kind of fucked up if these people who are probably getting treated like shit anyway, like they have to deal with all this precautionary stuff where as a customer you're not supposed to, like, I feel like that's just a really weird situation. And
I kind of think the same way.
Like I don't want the employees to feel like they're sort of some kind of like second class citizens where they have to feel uncomfortable, but all the people who they're providing service to don't have to feel uncomfortable,
They go ahead, sorry, continue.
But like the general situation everywhere around here is kind of like, if you want to wear one, you can, and it's like recommended. It's recommended that you wear a mask, but I don't think there's anywhere that I've been in, whether it's like a store or a club or work, where you have to wear one or they'll tell you to go home. Like there's nothing where anybody will deny you anything for not wearing a mask. So I kind of wonder what's it like for you guys up there.
Actually, there are places. In fact, there was a family store. My family store. We had to do that one because it was law. Because like we would get in trouble if someone walked in with a mask. So we had to actually either give them a mask or we had to deny them service. And we actually ran into a whole bunch of problems with that because there were some customers who was like, I can't breathe, or I have a medical condition, and it's like, and they're like just hollering and screaming at us, and it's like it's there's not much we can do about that. It's because like we get in trouble if you don't wear a mask.
Yeah.
I used to have people like that when I worked at Honda. We had to kick people out if they came in. Like this was like early pandemic, like March, April, May. And people still didn't want to wear a mask. And I was partially responsible for kicking people out. Or not even, I shouldn't even say kicking people out. I should just say that, like, we can't service you if you don't put on a mask. But it was
so you're not kicking them out, but you're not letting them in.
Yeah, like you can't come in. Like if you have a mask, you come in, but I can't help you. And I'm trying to be nice about it.
Do you guys get a lot of those like people up there where they'll put a mask on, but they like won't cover their nose or something like that?
I still see the people who believe in magic.
My job.
If anyone's seen that post, that is funny. For like context, there's like a post where like you have it's a picture that shows the 4 different mask types. You got the people who believe in science with their mask full, the people with their nose out, that say the people who believe in magic.
You just don't wear one.
Yeah. Well, that's what I've noticed sometimes. That's what I've noticed more down here is that like if there's a requirement for a mask, like people will comply with it. Like they'll put a mask on, but there's a lot of people who like won't cover their nose, or they'll like pull it down to tell you something, or it's like
those are understandable.
It's like I can hear you. With the mask.
In all honesty,
doesn't change anything. You can keep it up.
In all honesty, though, like in some cases, I kind of get where you have to pull your mask, like, at least to your nose, because like if you're going to the gym or something like that, you're doing like excessive.
Oh yeah,
exercise.
The gym is different.
Because
these are things I don't do. So
because you gotta breathe.
Nobody wears them at the gym. It's impossible.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody says. If you're on a treadmill running, it's impossible to breathe with the mask
that's
on.
the exact opposite what I've heard from another podcast that I listen to that I won't name drop because I'm trying to show us, not anybody else.
The cloth mask.
They're lying.
But she said that she was in Vegas at the time and she was running indoors with her mask on. She said it wasn't much of a problem. So
that's not
why are you? What are you just like? Is that just your secret Trump vote? Like, what are you doing?
No, no.
Okay.
I do like the chin diaper thing where it's like my nose is exposed, but like my mouth is still covered if I'm at the gym.
Christ.
I feel a little bit more.
So that doesn't help at all.
No, it doesn't. No, that's why I said earlier. I'm definitely guilty of that because there's instances like that being the perfect example. I feel a little bit more confident because I'm vaccinated, although that doesn't necessarily mean that I can't not get COVID. But at the gym, especially, I found like I'm not. I don't. Do you guys still wear the blue
I
ones,
don't
like the
care.
disposable blue ones, or
No,
like the
no,
No, I
yeah,
got my own
yeah,
customized
I was
ones
gonna
that are
say,
probably
yeah, the cloth.
soaked in fucking flu and whatever
Yeah,
else.
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I wear the cloth one, and I can't. Maybe that's why it's harder to be, because the cloth ones are like a little bit thicker than like the disposable ones. You're just supposed to wear like once throughout the day, and then just throw in the garbage.
I like the fact that this happened. This, like the fact that this is going on for so long. People just have customized masks now. Like we just got used
yeah.
to it.
That's like a market. It's like a giant market now.
Bro,
Custom masks.
well, like
Yeah.
as soon as people started hopping on that man, I was like, "Yep, here we go. This is gonna be a long haul."
Yeah, in the beginning, when our jobs just gave us blue masks, that was easy because I didn't even have to buy any. Then my job
Because they were running out.
Yeah, then at the end of the day, you just throw it away and you come in for it. Now I had to buy them because my job stopped giving me them.
Right. Like that's where everything went wrong in the first place, I think. Like this was something I was saying, I guess what was it, like 2 years ago almost now?
Yeah.
That's what I was saying, was like, okay, places are putting these mask requirements, like they're telling you have to wear one, but I don't have any masks just sitting around at home. Like you're gonna make me go buy this?
Yes.
Are you fucking kidding me? This is
How
government
much
tyranny. What are
How
you
much of my
talking about?
cooperation do you need?
Yeah.
Why do I have to put a mask on?
So much of this could have been prevented, I think, if like a bunch of local governments just sent people like a week's worth of masks and were like,
Well,
hey, you're gonna have to wear one soon. So we're gonna
coming.
give you this supply at first, but you have to do something on your own after this.
Well,
I would be cool with that.
In all honesty, during that time though, it's like
People,
we weren't people for some reason we were getting blindsided for some reason of a virus over here in the States.
Well, I mean, there was a bunch of like weird shit in the beginning. Like I understand why people were weirded out at first. I get that. I get it completely.
Like it's all could be prevented if we just been more what's the
This
word
is
I'm looking for?
This is the thing. This is the thing about the South that you guys kind of have to understand, is that nobody will fight when the government gives them things. Nobody will fight that. Nobody will be like, don't give me those free things. No one's going to do that. What they're going to fight is when the government tells them to do something that they have to pay for.
In the South, freaking that happens over here too.
But it's a lot worse over here because people tend to have like this big, like big government stance or whatever.
Anti-big man.
Yeah, if they would have sent masks to everybody, which, they have the money to do. If they would have just sent like a week or 2 weeks worth of masks to everybody and said, hey, we're going to give you this now. You got to figure it out after this. Nobody would have complained. Well, people would have complained.
People always complain. You can find something to complain about anything.
there was a pretty big mask shortage in the beginning of COVID too, because people were buying up all the masks. Remember that when they were like trying to resell them?
Right, and that's why they could have invoked the Defense Production Act to produce more masks, but nobody did that because Trump didn't give a fuck, and Biden was gonna. Who knows if he even knows where he is now?
He does.
All right.
Things could have been done. We'll get off the politics. We'll get
All
off.
right.
Minnesota.
All right. Other than that,
we all voted for Biden. Just a disclaimer.
Oh,
okay, never mind. Yeah, cut that out. Yeah, just go and cut that part out.
all right. And on that
no,
note,
I did, but we should still cut
let's
that.
shift. Anyone got any interesting stories they'd like to tell?
This is not a story, but this is an experience that I feel like you guys can relate to, probably. And it's a very simple experience. Like this is not like a very bad thing. It's not a good thing. It's just like one of those subtle things. Yeah, it just happens. So a couple of weeks ago, I needed to go to the grocery store, but I wasn't in my neighborhood. And because I'm a cultured Southern gentleman, I shop at the Piggly Wiggly.
We don't have that here. What's describe a Piggly Wiggly?
It's like a Safeway. It's like that kind of thing.
Okay.
But I wasn't in my neighborhood, so I went to the store in another neighborhood. And the layout was extremely different. Things were not in the right aisles for me. And I kind of just wanted to, this is like a quick conversation, but I feel like you guys understand, like if you're going to Safeway in like a different neighborhood, like when you first walk in and you realize that the aisles in the new store are not the same as the aisles in your store, and
you panic a little bit.
Like, yeah, you go to that like mini panic, trying to figure out where the things that you want are. You're looking at all these different aisles, like, no, that's not it. That's not it. Why do they do it this way? It's stupid. They should do it the other way. Have you guys have felt that then, right?
I've
Yeah.
never
Yep,
felt
I
that.
have.
I'm sorry.
I've done that.
I'm sorry.
It's the job where you have to move all the shit around, and I've been responsible for that, and I feel like an asshole. It's funny, but continue.
Like you move things into a different location.
Yeah, like literally, we remodeled Safeways. Like if peanut butter was on aisle 1, we would put it on like aisle 13 for some reason.
Yeah, you guys are fucking terrible then.
I know. People would come in and say, "Oh, where's the peanut butter?" And I moved it yesterday because I worked the night shift, and I would come in at 9, and leave at 6, and they'd get mad at me. And I'm like, I don't. I just do what they tell me. They give me a piece of paper and I move stuff around. That's all I do.
So you got to understand
You're a
them then,
bot.
where it's like it's a real sense of panic. Like it's like it's this thing that I thought was so familiar to me. It was so intimate.
I'm sorry.
I just want to go in the store and I just want to get my fucking hot pockets.
It should be a thoughtless like procedure. Like I know where everything is. I shouldn't have to relearn everything.
Why do they not do that at every location in the chain? Why do they not make the layouts all the same? Why would it be different?
All targets are the same. Every target is the exact same thing.
Well,
For the most part. They're pretty similar.
Yeah.
I've never had that experience. I'm sorry.
Electronics are in the back of the store at Target.
No. There's a Target close to me where electronics are in the front left.
Damn.
I've had that. I've run into a Target like that before. I was like, okay, this is a little odd.
Yeah, and you go to the back thinking that that's where the electronics are going to be, but then you're like, "What? This is baby food? Like what?"
It's like honestly, I've never had that experience with Safeway. Every Safeway I've been to, and I've been to like different Safeways in like different areas, and they've always been this kind of same way out.
That's not entirely true though, because I know the Safeway in Renton was different, or the Safeway in downtown Renton was different than the Safeway in Rainier Beach. It was different. It was a different layout.
I used to work there. Unfortunately, you're right. Hated that job.
Safeway, it seemed nice.
Yeah, Malcolm,
it was okay, but
Malcolm extensively hated Safeway.
Yeah, I hated that job.
Said some unpleasant things about it.
Well,
that was for our listeners who are familiar with the Seattle area. I was in the Newcastle area, which is south of Bellevue. It's like in between.
It's like rich Renton.
Yeah, it literally it's exactly that. It's just rich Renton, and me being a gentleman of color in a predominantly white workplace. I hate to bring it to race, but it's an experience. I mean, it's just something you can't avoid. Things happen and things are said where you're just like, that was really racist, but I honestly don't know if I should say anything because I don't know if I'm at risk of losing my job or I don't want to, prolong an interaction.
So what you're saying? You didn't check them?
No, not really.
It
was my first job too, so I was like, I don't really know like what job procedure is and like what I'm able to say and like what I'm not able to say to customers at least. I never had that issue with coworkers, but
actually, I got a good story about something like that. I'll let you finish.
Yeah, go for it. No, go for it. Yeah.
Man, okay, no, it's funny. This happened actually like maybe a month ago. I think I told you it, Malcolm. I don't think I told the rest of you guys it, but I work at BMW, right? And I have like an array of jobs to do, like daily tasks. And like the thing they like push on us the most is if you work in the front desk and you see someone in the front and it looks like they haven't helped, you have to like, ask them like, how are you doing? Like, what are you looking for and stuff like that. Right. And I was getting ready to go, I was getting ready to go to lunch. Right. And I saw this older black gentleman sitting by himself in the little lounge area we have. And he looked like nobody helped him. So I went up to him and I was like, hey sir, how you doing? He's like, I'm doing good. And I'm like, how can I help you? Like, do you need help? And I honestly, I've never experienced that at any job. Like I've been working with BMW for like a few years and I've never experienced it before, but this guy, he's probably like 50 or 60 years old. It's a black gentleman. He just straight up says to me, he's like, I'm looking to buy a car and I will not talk to an Asian or a white salesman.
There are people like that. I'm not even gonna front.
It
There are
didn't
people like
hit
that.
me because I realized why nobody else talked to him, because the sales team is literally white. There's white people and there's Asian people. And I literally just said, and I literally was looking around to the only person. He's a South African guy, and he was talking to somebody else. And I was like, hang on one second. And I went inside the sales office and told the manager, like, hey, this guy out there, he wants to buy a car. They're like, oh, awesome. And I'm like, except he does not want to talk to a white or an Asian. He doesn't want to talk to a white or an Asian person. And, I wish I could say the story had a good ending, but I kind of passed it off to somebody else who was a white man, and I don't know how it went because I wanted to go.
It's okay. So that situation, it's kind of understandable given the fact of like how his life probably went. He probably feels like he feels a little he probably had a bad experience, so he wants to talk to someone who's like a little more, I guess, like someone else who's
maybe he's someone who's like he's comfortable with.
Yeah.
Ethnically.
Okay.
In other words, maybe he's just too racist.
I'm dancing around.
Verbatim.
I'm sorry. Do you have Negroes here? I can't talk to any of the Negroes. But yeah, some people feel comfortable when they're talking to someone that in their culture because maybe no, that's fucked.
No, okay. First of all,
he literally told me I don't trust them, and I was like, oh, Jesus.
Oh, I didn't hear that part.
Yeah, no, I should have said.
Yeah, I didn't
hear that part. Okay, hold on. That changes things a little bit.
I don't want to talk to a white or an Asian person. I don't trust them, and I was like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Okay, no. Okay, if that's the case, then that difference things. Because what I was about to say is that given like the history of certain cultures in this country, you might feel a little more comfortable talking to someone of your own culture. But since he gave you his reason, I don't trust him. That changes things a little differently.
I still think though, like imagine you're like white, I guess. Imagine you're a white person and somebody's sitting on the bench and you try and go and help them and they're like, hey, so I don't want to talk to any of the black people because I don't trust them, but you got me, right? I think that's fucked.
I don't want to help you. I'm sorry.
I agree with you on that one. And
I know it's not the same thing, but it's like at least similar enough.
I didn't know if I just say, I don't even know if the term's like reverse racism or like is that racist, but like that dude was a fucking asshole.
I would classify it as prejudice, if anything, honestly. Which is kind of the same thing, but it's a little broader term.
I guess that's fair.
Fair.
The reason I say it like that is because come on. After everything that's happened in the past 2 years,
Hey, yo.
Hold on.
Let's be fair. Let him finish.
After everything that's happened in the past 2 years, it's understandable that there are some people out there that feel that way. And it's like because of all the freaking.
But you can't put everyone under the same.
You can't put everyone in that. I don't believe that in the slightest.
Oh no, I know you don't. I'm just saying for like the sake of like.
Yeah, I know. In general, I know what you mean, but it's like
just in general.
But it's like I'm not saying it's acceptable. I'm just saying like it's not surprising that there's people that come out like that.
I mean, I feel like it's not surprising no matter what. Like, there's always going to be people like that. But
matters with the police just make things worse. Honestly, if I have to be honest with it.
Yeah, it brings like a certain like tension. I think it's like I feel like most people like let's just figure this out verbally. Like it doesn't need to get physical. Like, let's just figure this out verbally. Without calling the police, if that's possible, but I know in some cases.
Oh, Malcolm,
that's just part of your inner nigga where you're like, hey, let's not snitch.
Yeah. Let's just figure this out now, like here and now.
No, that's too complicated. It's easier to get physical.
Even then, it's like if this is gonna get physical, like how long are you expecting to be in a fight for? Like if you think you're about to be in a fight with someone.
I don't know how long you think a fight lasts.
This is something I've told to a lot of people down here. that I've been friends with, where it's like I haven't been in like a real fight like that, but now I feel like I can't get into any of those fights because everybody has guns.
Yeah.
No one fights anymore.
Okay,
Yeah,
first of all,
nobody's out there boxing anymore. Like,
Especially in Alabama. I would
you
be
down
a
south,
lot more
Mark. You down
concerned.
south,
I would be
Marcus.
way
You
more
are-
concerned picking
you're
a
not-
fight with someone in Alabama.
right. Like,
any fist fight's gonna end in a gunfight.
I just like I missed out on that entire period. That's probably like a lot of people they look back on that kind of fondly, where even if they don't respect the reasons they got into fights, they're like, yeah, I was in a few scraps in my day. You youngins don't know about that.
Oh man,
Yeah.
like, I hate you said that because that reminds me of like some
And
like,
that's the thing, as a like you can't if someone for whatever reason, say like you have like some sort of interaction where you're about to scrap, you're about to throw down. As a man, you can't say, "Oh no, I'm good." Like I don't want to fight. Like even if
You can't be like, all right, this is
It's a
a rational
pride-
decision. I'm
Yeah.
gonna walk away.
it's a pride thing.
you know you're gonna get your ass kicked. You can't say like, "Oh no, like I'm good." Like I don't want to fight. Like if there's still some respect, even knowing you're gonna get your ass whooped, and it does happen in a fight. It's like you still have to fight. Like you can't say like I'm good, like or like I don't want to fight, or like I'm not trying to fight tonight, or blah blah blah. It's like you have to fight. That's why I don't want to get into a fight.
I was talking to my ex about this. Maybe you guys who are still in relationships, you guys can ask your partners about this.
Single.
But we were talking about like what, like, you know, I'm not like a buff muscular dude or anything, but
Same.
we were talking about like what would happen if somebody wanted to start a fight with me. Like what would I be expected to do in that situation? And we went through a few different levels of it, where it's like, okay, if the dude's about my size or smaller, like I'm expected to fight him. I'm expected to like stand up. Like if he's talking shit and he's trying to start shit, then I'm expected to be at that level with him. If he's
But say
like,
he's got a couple hundred, like 100 pounds.
roughly accurate. If he's you know, clearly, you know, bigger than me and about to whoop my ass, then it's credit if I stand up to it. And even if I get the shit kicked out of me, it's at least like I did it. Like I was there for it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, especially if you're with your girl, you can't say like if he did like the dude disrespects your girl, you can't say like, "Come on, man, like I don't want to fight." Like that's not like you have to fight. Like, you have to fight.
No, that's the whole thing. Is like
Marcus?
I feel like you can do that if you are like literally the bigger man in that situation. Like if some smaller dude is talking shit about your girl, like you can be like, "All right, dude, I don't want to fight you because I don't want to kick your ass. And
Yeah,
I
like, I
don't
don't
want to
wanna fuck
embarrass you."
you
Or
up.
whatever.
No.
Yeah. But if you're like the smaller dude, or it's like kind of equal in that scenario, you kind of have to like go for it. Like you're expected to go for it.
Nah. See, that's the wrong
You
answer
have to.
altogether.
No,
what you got to do is
no matter who it is,
you
you have to
have
fight.
to.
get a gun. That's what you do.
You can't see. Then you look like.
And
you
that's
look like
we were right. I was talking about this with her, where it's like if he pulls a gun, it's like not a problem if I back out. Like it's not a
You're good
problem
then.
at all. If a dude pulls a piece out, it's like all right, this is not that serious.
That's why you pull a gun first. That's why.
But then you're a pussy.
Yeah, then you're a pussy if you pull a gun. Like you can't tell him he's a pussy, but like if you walk away afterwards, it's like like you won pretty much because it's like I didn't pull out a gun. I mean, he had a gun. He could have just shot me, but it's like he pulled out a gun. Like we didn't even get to a fight.
That's just such an unfair advantage. Like it doesn't prove anything about your manliness at all.
Yeah.
Well, chances are he's gonna have a gun too. It's just he just pull a gun on you.
But we're going in the situation where like it doesn't happen like that.
If you're with your gun on you.
If you're with your girl and he pulls a gun out and you're like, "Hey man, it's not even worth that," I feel like you get bonus points in the relationship. You just talk.
I don't know if it's
I don't know about that.
Nah, you walk away even. You break even.
That's you break even.
You break even.
You're not like crying or anything, but if you say, "Hey man, it's not worth it," and like you like talk him down, you get bonus points because it's like I just talked down a guy pointing a gun.
It's that I feel like is one of those situations where there's no right answer, but there are a bunch of wrong answers. You didn't pick the right answer, but you didn't pick any of the wrong answers.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Oh, wait, hold on. So some random guy comes up at you, pulls a gun at you, and you're with your girl, and you talk him down. You talk him out of the gun. Like talk him down.
No, it's not like you talk him out of the gun. It's just like you don't get involved in the situation.
Yeah, and you need physical form of altercation. If you
you de-escalated just by talking to him.
I mean,
Basically, yeah.
if you fight him, he's gonna shoot you.
That's some Naruto.
Yeah.
That's some Naruto shit. I wouldn't see that
It's
happening
not like you're doing like
realistically.
some Jedi mind tricks, like it's just not the gun you want to
Yeah.
fight. Or, you're not doing any of
I know,
that.
I know, but you talked to him. You talked him from like freaking like taking a gun off you. That sounds like some Naruto. You just like talked him off the fight.
The thing is, you're. I feel like in a situation like that, you're kind of banking on the whole idea that like most people are not trying to kill anybody else, which I think is true. I feel like that's true. Like maybe someone will point a gun at you. Yeah, they're just trying to scare you, to rob you or something like that, but they don't actually want to kill you.
Yeah, at that point, the worst he'd probably do is just rob you. I don't think he would shoot you.
You never know.
You never know nowadays.
Fuck it, if they have the gun, they might. I mean, it's like
they might just do it.
Yeah, they might just do it. Like, fuck it, I already have the gun. Like, I'm not just shoot you.
Nowadays, it's hard to
the whole thing is like it's way like you'll get off a lot easier on just some kind of robbery charge than you would on a murder charge. You know.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
I don't know. Nowadays, I feel like that's not possible anymore. It's like people are now a lot crazier than like how back when we were.
I don't agree with that.
You don't?
I think people are smarter now.
While we're on the topic of relationships and in that sense, does anybody have any interesting first date stories or like bad dates?
I can give you I give you relationships that didn't turn out to be dates, but they're bad.
Well, just like a bad like I don't want to say like a bad outing, but like maybe just like a date. Well, I'll say a date. Yeah, like a date. Like you guys both knew it was a date.
No comment.
I saw a story on that.
I'm kidding, Bay. I'm kidding, Bay.
Oh, fucking gross. We're about to delete that. We're gonna delete that. That's fucking gross.
I'm kidding.
But I saw a thread on 4chan about this a couple of days ago, where a guy was basically he was asking a question about some girl that he'd hung out with a couple of times, and it had been just them out alone, and he was asking basically if that constituted a date because he tried to ask her out on like a proper date.
Yeah.
But she was like
dinner. What would be a proper date?
Well, just like he explicitly mentioned the word date, and she was like, "Oh, I don't see you like that at all."
Oh.
So maybe that's a topic we could talk about is like what in your mind, like what's the barrier to like something that's actually a date versus like a guy and a girl just hanging out as friends or just on an outing?
I would say no, you go, Malcolm.
All right. I've been in a couple instances where I've physically asked a woman on a date, and then it's like, oh yeah, we can hang out, and I'm just like, it's like I don't know what I'm like. Say yes because it's like, well, like, you know, it could be fun, like regardless, but it's like at the same time, I didn't ask if we could hang out. I feel like that sounds so weird. I don't know, but
I feel...
Wait, I don't understand what you were just saying. Can you clarify that? So like you were asking her on
a date. Like I explicitly said, like, can I take you on a date? Like maybe we can go to like a restaurant or like a movie or like both or like the Space Needle. And it's like, oh yeah, like I'd love to hang out and do something sometime.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And that you see what I mean? It's I'm still going. Like that doesn't change anything, but it's just like it makes me think like differently. Okay, well, I don't know if I should like, you know what I mean? Like I don't know like what type of effort I should be putting forth like when I get there.
If you're going as friends, you have the power to change it throughout the way.
No, that's the thing. Like he said it was a date.
Yeah, he wanted a date, but like but the hangout.
I asked.
The hangout aspect, like it makes it like it sounds very broad, so it makes him question, like, what does she see it as?
If you explicitly said it as a date, like for me, that's where I think the line is where one or both people explicitly say that it's a date. Then it's a date no matter what in my mind. So like if you ask somebody if we can go out on a date, if you say the word date and plans are made, then it's a date.
But
that's what I think.
If you don't say the word.
But then the thing about that, Marcus, is like if you say date and she says like some other word, and then for some reason the conversation comes up and you're discussing specifics. I say she, but it could be, you know, your significant other, and like the conversation comes up and you're discussing specifics. and she can just pull, and they can just pull the. I didn't really think of it as a date, or I didn't think about it. I thought you just like hang out some.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it's I don't know. That's why I always think like I'm like I said I'm still going like regardless.
Oh yeah, no,
That's
that's
like you
Yeah,
never know.
yeah,
You never know
absolutely,
like
yeah.
what,
You're going.
what like you don't know like what it's gonna turn into. And like in that instance, she said like, oh yeah, like this is a really fun day. Like we should do it again. I'm like, okay, I know now. I know.
Clear
Yeah,
forward,
now
like
I
green
know.
light. Yeah.
Like, now I know, but like beforehand, it's like I don't know. Like
You had that like that little thought in the back of your mind.
I'm just kind of going in blind, which I don't care. Like I said, it's still you can still have a good time.
I think what counts as like official date in my mind, because it might be because like I'm old fashioned, not old fashioned, but I'm old fashioned to certain traditions.
Like you believe that we shouldn't be able to vote.
Okay, I'm not that old fashioned. but like,
how old are you, by the way? Just so the listeners can get an insight of who they're listening to.
First of all, I'm 26. All right, so
okay.
I was even
yeah. Most of us are around that age. Just for the listeners who will be tuning in, to know how old we are.
I say old fashioned because like I'm between generations, so I still have the old and the new. But like,
I think we fall into millennials.
Yeah, it's millennial.
No, we're all. I feel like we're all in between the millennials.
You think so?
Because
we're on the border there.
Because we were there when
okay.
like the whole switch between the freaking
Technology.
But like,
see, I never know.
My sister. I don't know if I should name drop her.
No,
but my sister, who's a little bit older than me, she's a millennial, but I feel like I'm further away from that. So
I feel
I never know like where the class.
I feel like I'm closer
like,
to like my parents' generation than I am to like my own. Well, my specific own. That's why. And so most of that generation's traditions kind of like fall into you by.
I get that.
Stuff.
Yeah, because even like my nephew, who's 10 years younger than me, I don't feel like I'm a part of that. But I have a sister that's 10 years older than me, and I don't feel like I'm a part of that either. And she's like in the middle, true millennial. Yeah, so that's where I get the idea that we're like people born in our years are sort of like on the middle. We're on the edge, but we're closer towards the millennials than towards Gen Z.
And honestly, I kind of like that I was born in the middle because like
we're homeless.
Yeah, we're all homeless. We can't afford anything.
We're culturally homeless and economically homeless. So yeah, we're fucked.
It gives me like the height, like a good oversight of like you can point out stuff that's bullshit and other things that are like eh. But like that's all a tangent. What I was trying to say was like in terms of like my old fashioned thing, I feel like a date kind of constitutes like you go to a place and it's like consensusly agreed between you, like, hey, we're gonna go over here, relax, or like hang out, do our own thing, spend money and stuff like that. It feels like it's like a planned outing, not just like a.
I don't know.
Who do you think should spend money on the first date?
It don't matter.
I think the guy should.
The guy definitely should.
I think just because if it's me and I ask, like if I ask you out, I'm asking you out, so I'm paying because I want.
I
feel like this is where Aaron's getting into it, though. Is that if it is a date, yeah, okay, the guy should be spending the money there, but maybe that's even like
not every time. Definitely not every time.
Well,
first date though.
Well, yeah, first date for sure.
Okay,
yeah.
well,
yeah.
The thing about that is like if it's like a hangout or anything or like that, and like if you're like the one who kind of like sprung out, like you're the one who initiated, like, hey, let's go hang out. I feel like
you should pay them.
Yeah, you should. Like, if the responsibility falls on you to pay, since you're the one who want to do the hangout. If it's a date, I feel like you should it'd be more of an equal footing. Since
no,
you don't think so?
Nah, I don't think so.
I'm trying to think it's more inclusive.
If you're going to the
ask her to hang out, go ahead, Marcus.
No, I'm saying if you invite her to the movies, you're buying the snacks and the tickets. I'm sorry, that's how it is.
It's all on you, bro. It's all on you.
It's on you.
Okay, look, I'm trying to be more inclusive because nowadays like that happens, and then your date gets mad because you make them think they can't do things for themselves.
The only time I think you shouldn't. Yeah, I think the only time you shouldn't is like say it's like the second date and like you offer to pay, and she's like, "Oh, I got it," and then you have to just kind of be like, "Are you sure?" Like, just kind of like,
Yeah,
You gotta play the whole
just
ring
kind of like
around.
milk it a little bit. It's like,
You gotta do the whole ring around.
I got it.
This
Like, are
is
you
a-
sure?
Your
This
wallet's
is-
like halfway out of your pocket when you
Yeah,
say,
yeah.
Are you
This is the
sure? You
strategy,
see you like
okay.
putting on the table. The
This is the strategy. First date. No matter what, you pay for it. First
Yeah.
date, no matter what.
Yeah.
Even if she offers to do, you got it. You're the guy. You got it.
Yep.
Second date,
It's a bad look if
You
she pays on
offer-
the first date.
Okay.
Second date, you offer, and if she says no, like I got whatever, you offer again. You do it again.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay,
exactly.
I got a
And
question.
you give another half offer even
Yeah.
after that second offer. Where you're like,
Yeah.
You sure?
Okay.
You sure?
Okay,
Yep.
Marcus.
And then
Okay,
if
I
she's
got.
still in for it, all right.
I gotta.
You got
wanna-
this. You're clearly a
The next
strong,
thing.
modern,
If there's
feminine
more to the
woman.
date, you pay
got
for the next part.
I,
Yeah, you have to pay for the next
All
part.
right.
though.
I got
yeah,
a question
you
for.
still got the next one.
I got a question for you. What if it's a gay date?
I wouldn't know.
well, it's the same. Whoever asked, like initially.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
whoever
okay, so the responsibility still falls
so
on.
I was talking to a friend of mine who is bisexual a couple of days ago, and it is like kind of a weird situation. Like I don't know how to address that, but it is sort of like a weird situation where the traditional gender roles don't really apply, and somebody has to figure it out. I don't know.
I always
I don't know.
thought at that point it's like at that point they change it to like an equal footing and you treat it as equals when it's like a because like in your thing you were saying you're the guy that it's like that okay and this that would apply in like heterosexual dates, but like in homosexual dates you're both the guy, so like what we doing here?
So
It probably
I,
just depends on the dynamic.
Depends on the dynamic. That's true. That is true.
I feel like this is touchy. I don't want to comment on this because
Yeah, that's as much as I'm gonna say because I'm not,
this seems like a really touchy topic where we're getting close to saying some stuff that
No comment.
I don't want to get into.
All right, fine. We'll back off. Back off.
Yeah, if you're a man listening to this and you're on a first date, you should be paying. If she offers to pay and you let her, and she ghosts you afterwards, don't even be confused why she ghosted you.
She just instantly ghosts you.
Yeah, like you should know, like
Bitch.
she should not
Like,
pay.
like she says, like, got him.
Yeah, well, no, because she paid. She's not going to be saying got him, like, because she paid. Especially if you ask.
So
her
this
to do it.
is where Marcus's girlfriend listens and she's like, "What? You really just didn't say what you were supposed to say there?"
Yeah, I got.
Okay, Marcus's girlfriend, you're cool.
Say about that,
Please
but
keep
Hey,
showing the show. You're
Then
cool.
we're not gonna see Marcus next time. You done?
guys, I'm in the doghouse now, so I'll see you guys. No, but actually, the very first time we went out, we went to the movies, and she ended up paying for the snacks. Or was it
You
was
don't have to lie.
Who
Yeah.
paid for the tickets?
Actually, I think I did snacks and she did tickets, but I think I kind of fucked
You're
up.
changing your story. I
count?
don't believe you.
Huh?
You're supposed to pay for whatever. You're supposed
I
to pay for the
know,
more
I know.
expensive-
I can also say I messed up there, but I'm glad she, didn't feel like this nigga broke as hell.
She was
Which could have
generous.
been
She
the
gave you
case.
second chance. She's like she knew you fucked up. Like, okay, hold on.
She's really big on me like wanting to pay for her own things, like certain like when we're out. But I like paying if it's something like if it's something we're doing together. Like, of course I'm gonna pay for
Split it.
Yeah.
And I don't care to pay for. I want to pay for it, but she's
That's
she
good. You're following the script real well.
But
All right, guys, let's move on.
The first time, I'm sorry.
Let's visit the gaming sphere for a sec. Anyone got anything about that? I know Marcus Friend
Games
doesn't
suck.
because he works in a freaking cement.
Video games suck. That's all
Hey,
we
we
say
don't
about
deal
it.
with cement. We deal with skin.
What's the
Sounds
difference?
more exciting.
Honestly, I got some I want to say about the trend of
Yeah,
video
go ahead.
games.
Go for it.
So I'm not sure if you know this Marcus Friend because you be working, but like
I don't.
yeah, so
Well, I'm not into like the video game culture. So
yeah. So
go
like
for it.
video games so far have been kind of on decline. And what I mean in terms when I say like a decline, I mean in terms of like both the customer and the producers. So like I'll give two examples actually. For those of you who know, Fallout 76 was a catastrophic failure. It was hyped up and all that jazz, but when it came out, it was like not finished and all that stuff. Now, that's not surprising. That happens a lot. What really is a bad habit is when the game people have say, or when they're stands say they haven't got enough budget, or they were rushed and pushed out or something like that, and so now you have to wait for X number amount of time for them to slowly update the game for it to finally be the game that you were promised. And so I want to say that's a very bad habit, because now people are going to accept like half-ass products for the promise of it'll get better. And it's like back in I sound old when I say this. Back in the day when people like spend like $30-$40 for a game that's like $60,
like 2008, 2007, 2009.
Exactly. Like Ratchet and Clank. Ratchet and Clank was like a good game that gave all things. It gave platformers, less than bugs, finished levels, nothing breaks, and all that jazz. But nowadays you see games like Call of Duty or
Pokemon.
Cyberpunk or Pokemon. Actually, no.
I've seen some glitches in Pokemon, like the Brilliant Diamond, and I'm a little fucking pissed that I paid $60 for that when it's a $30 game.
You should be pissed for being a cop.
But like,
I got trapped into nostalgia, but that's another story for another game.
But wait, so this is like basically your point, Aaron, is that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's sort of like people have kind of realized that they can charge a lot more for DLC, so they don't feel like they have to finish an actual game because they can just give you a concept. And if you like the concept, they'll keep updating it. Maybe if you pay them more.
it's not even DLC.
It's kind of that though.
It is kind of that, but like it's not even like DLC. It's not even like thing. It's more so it's like they released the game charging you full price for a game. And then when they see the game has like all these bugs and stuff, something that you shouldn't have missed if you're some kind of seasoned developer, and so
like, something that should have been like a beta, they gave that to the public.
They gave it to the public,
and
then they give the promise that like, don't worry, we're updating it, we'll update it, and then like 3 months later, like update after update. Actually, no, best game for this is No Man's Sky. That's like a perfect example. So everyone knows everyone knows the No Man's Sky controversy. This big promise of a giant open world game comes out, none of it delivered.
Sean Murray, if you're listening to this, I will never forget the disappointment of waiting for the game to release digitally, spending $60. I made $9.25 an hour at the time when that game came out, so that was a lot of money for me back then. Yeah, I was broke back then. I still paid $60 for that game, and the disappointment I had when I actually started playing that game at midnight. I took a day off work to play that game. It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible.
And so like that became like the most hated games in all of gaming culture at the time. Like literally the worst on every single list, even Steam. And so when was that? Like 3 years?
That was 2016.
2016. So like four-ish years. We come back. No Man's Sky is finally the game that it promised with multiplayer and all that stuff. And best of all, it wasn't even the developers that were updating it. It was the community. And then this guy, Sean Murray, during the Game Awards, I think of last year, he got the Oscar for his own game that he didn't even produce. Well, no, he didn't produce the own game that he didn't like back up after the controversy. He went into hiding after that controversy. You couldn't even find him anywhere.
I feel like they just do it. Maybe they just don't want people to buy games anymore. Like, well, just stop buying. Go do something else. There's plenty of other hobbies you can do. Stop wasting your money on this.
It's just like,
sorry, you go. Sorry.
Oh, I'm just saying, it's like they don't even try anymore. And like,
that's what I'm saying.
And blame doesn't even fall on like, and it's blame not just fall on like developers.
It's your fault at this point.
The customers have also kind of
like if you're still buying it, then
yeah,
what are you doing?
It's your fault.
Yeah, I think people are kind of more on the upward like trend to like actually hold them accountable because I don't want to say accountable, but like look at Pokemon. Like Pokemon, you remember how long people were saying like where's the Diamond and Pearl remakes? They literally bullied them into making a remake. I feel
No,
like
all right. I have opinions on this because I still like
Here we
those games.
go. Okay.
actually I'd like to hear that.
All right, let's go.
They were always going to make Diamond and Pearl remakes. Those were always going
think
to
so,
happen
too.
because remakes are the easiest way for them to make some fucking money because
They don't have to
everybody's
create anything
already
new.
yeah, they don't really have to do anything new. Everything's already there. They just have to create it in a new engine, basically.
And that's what makes me sad. The fact that like they don't even try anymore.
Movies
like,
do that too, though.
I know,
They
but
just,
if
you know how
look
much
at
movies
but
now are just remakes.
Pokemon is 100% on the fans. It's 100% on the fans.
Yeah, that is true.
But you look at games like that, and then you look at games like Final Fantasy VII Remake, which was not even a remake, more of a retelling of the story with like it's like they basically they expanded on the already expanded world of Final Fantasy, and people loved that, even though the ending was controversial story wise. But people loved what happened to it, and that just makes
I would think it's because like it's something that people really already loved, and it got updated to a new enough level where people who had already experienced it got to experience it again in a new way, and people who had never experienced it got to have that first experience again. But with like the Pokemon remakes, it's like this isn't different enough from the first time.
It's the same
to make me want to do it again.
I get that. That's why I have high hopes for Pokemon Legends, because from what I've seen, it looks like it's like a very drastic change from like the Pokemon formula, and I have high hopes that it'll like probably rekindle. No, not gonna rekindle, but drive into a different direction where people might some more.
I didn't even get
like
the new one. I
love
just played Sword.
I love the remake. I like it's perfect to me. I just hate the price. Like, why is it $60? Like,
it's a first party game. That's not going to change.
That's what I don't have a problem with remakes. I just don't like the price tag on a.
I don't even think Switch games should be $60. I don't know. Something about Switch games being.
I have opinions about that, but I'll keep those
to
myself.
Is a scam also.
Yeah, that's a scam. It's literally just a DS that you can plug into your TV. Is it not that?
Well, it's a hybrid.
It is.
It's
your question.
I guarantee you the battery life on a DS is longer than a Switch. I bet you could keep a DS on.
Probably. It doesn't have to do as much. Yeah.
But the thing is, like, your DS is not going to run like high graphic games. It's going to run like pixels.
Yeah, but how much was a DS when it was brand new?
That was
you remember? I don't remember. But I know a Switch was like $400
$150 maybe.
I got it. The Switch was $400.
That was $200. I got mine for $200. And that was release date.
I don't think it was 200.
I think it was 200.
It was 200.
Yeah, 300 sounds right.
No, I got my 200 back in Fry's when it was still in business. But like also, but it's because it's also like the scale tips on your side for the customers, because then you have like good games that get punished, like Smash Bros, The Last of Us Part 2. I'll explain that one because I know people will be mad about that one.
They just need to tone down on the remakes, and that's for like everything, movies especially too. I think we're good on movie remakes.
Yeah, but there's no new ideas anymore, so just let them.
Yeah,
well, everything's been done. It's just all about. It's
that's
just all
true.
people don't really much get excited about like the story, more just like the characters, because like every like story idea has probably been done. So it's like it's just new characters with a different story.
I'm sure they can. I mean, I'm not.
Yeah, I want to say I was being a little ironic, but like, yeah, I also think it's too many remakes and reimaginings and franchises that have been existing for 50, 60 years.
Honestly, I'm pretty easy when it comes to video games. I don't really get all butthurt for like video games that like, oh, I don't like this story, therefore this game is bad. Last of Us 2.
Well, clearly you remember it enough to mention it right now.
Okay, so I guess I'll hit it now. The Last of Us 2. It seems that most people hate it because, like, I say spoiler, but the game's been out forever. The main character from the first game gets killed very early in the story, and a lot of people hated like how the story went, simply because of like the bad guy technically wins, or more so like it's more the story plays out as like two sides of the same coin rather than like a death march. And so, Reed, I think Reed, you played The Last of Us 2, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like and like people, how people get like very attached to characters in games with like a very emotional story. That's how it was in the first game. The second game, that character you got attached with that whole story dies in like the first hour of the game, and that made people so upset that like they just thought they thought the game was just trash. And like I had opinions. I like, yeah, I was upset when that happened, but I feel like that the whole like feeling of like like just sadness was part of the story. They wanted to get you to get angry at the character.
Yeah, people just didn't want it to happen, and I guess they just didn't want it to happen, and they're just stuck on that. The fact that it happened just made them mad, so they couldn't enjoy the game for what it was.
Exactly.
Because something happened that they didn't want.
Exactly.
Which,
Because like,
yeah,
that's a lot of fans with movies nowadays too. It's like they have these expectations of what the game or movie is going to be like, and when the movie comes out and it's nothing like it, they can't even appreciate that the movie is still good because they're so set on what they thought was going to happen. Didn't happen.
It's actually the same with movies too. Like despite like good acting, good characters, like this. The fact that the story made you feel that way means the story did its job and got you invested. But because you got too invested, you forgot that you need to judge the story for what it is, but you're judging it based on your emotions. Like my favorite character died, therefore the story is unreadable. The director does not know what he's doing, all that jazz. And it's like, that's not fair.
I mean, it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny, at least to me, in the sense that like
I think it's funny.
It's funny in like a very but like
no, like 50 years ago, if you had an author that you really liked and they wrote a book that was really cool and you really liked that book, and then they tried to do something afterwards or whatever, like you'd waited that entire time for it. I guess I don't know where I'm going with this.
I get what you're trying to say. Like they wanted to do something different. And but everyone's expecting like the seventh book in like a 5-year running story, and like the moment they put out that book that book.
It's different with the series, I think. Because
it's just that
you watched Game of Thrones, right? Didn't that happen with like one of the later seasons? Like the ending was like less than what people expected, or like the writing.
That's a whole separate thing, also though, because the books aren't finished. And
okay,
they're trying to write an adaptation for something that doesn't actually even exist. So yeah, it turned out poor. But yeah, that's basically what you're saying. Like feedback's a lot faster now. That's just what I was getting at.
Yeah, I just feel like people have like their expectations too high, and people just don't know how to deal with something that I'll say a lot. People nowadays don't know how to deal with disappointment. I feel like they really like. It's like, I'm not saying everybody. So like most people, like some people, but I feel like majority of people nowadays just don't know how to deal with disappointment. They get very upset because
it's easy to not deal with disappointment if like one thing is like your life. Because it's like, what else are you gonna do if this thing sucks? Like, what else? You're not gonna go and do anything else because this is all you do. So you're not gonna go.
It's so funny you say
go out
that.
to a bar or something.
Because that's exactly what happened to the My Little Pony community after the show ended.
Like, here we go.
No, I'm not gonna get into it. I just want to like point out, like, the moment the show ended, there were so many people that felt lost. Like
most of those people don't have lives.
Because like,
that's a little mean.
Because like they like their whole like, because like I'm sure like most of the people were very like introverts, and the show kind of got them out. I bet most of the people who go to those conventions, that was like their first time actually coming out and like meeting people because they had a common interest in the show. And the show actually was able to touch people like that. And that's kind of cool. But once that show ended, they felt like they had to go back to their like
the real
what
world.
They believe their depressing lives of like, and on into that, and and it's like what you saying about how like it's like just like when you base your whole like people like base their whole life around their things, like their whole emotions.
You got to do other things at the same time. Like you can't set one thing around your entire life.
Some people do that. That's mostly
do that.
That's mostly like content creators nowadays. Like if you're like a content creator that's like based off like a long running thing like Kingdom Hearts, and then it just ends, now you gotta find a new thing of operation, or Smash Brothers.
Yeah, you're not supposed to do that though. Definitely not supposed to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're somebody like you have like you're doing a bunch of art or something, or maybe you're just like a personality and you get a lot of viewers streaming or something like that, where it's like you can still kind of carry that talent forward. Like if you get famous doing art, you can do art of other things that aren't Smash Bros or whatever. Or if you're just a good personality, you can play games that aren't Smash Bros or something. But if you make that like that one specific thing that somebody else created, if you make that your kind of thing, then it's probably not going to work.
It's mostly because like that because like that's like because like that one thing is what brought in the most of your audience, and you're like, if I change this, like what happens to my audience? So you just move on since I'm not doing their favorite thing anymore.
Yeah.
And like for most people, your audience is what pays the bills. That's a lot. That's a lot of content creators right there.
That's all content creators.
That's all content creators, honestly, if you think about it. Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm saying though, is that like if you're like a lot of them, like I don't know who's, making the videos these days, but the last I remember is the fucking PewDiePie guy or whatever. And it seemed like no matter what he did, people would watch it. Like because they were watching for him, not what he was doing.
Yeah.
It's like Mr. Beast now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's like, but there's not a lot of people like PewDiePie. Like you got like PewDiePie, true. Markiplier, Corey X Kenshin, people that come for the actual like guy
personality.
But there's also people that just come for like the content. Like, oh, I see this guy's doing he's doing
hence clickbaiting.
I don't know, Final Fantasy Let's Play, and I see he's doing all the other Final Fantasy things. I'll watch him, and then I'll move on to the next person after he's
because anyone could play Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
So for me, that's kind of like the whole thing of like if you're good at doing what you're doing, people are going to watch you no matter what. Yeah.
Because that's how it was for like a long time with like I'm just gonna keep naming freaking gaming communities. The freaking Danganronpa community. Like after the third one ended, a lot of people had to look at other RPGs, which is actually not hard because there's a bunch of other ones like Phoenix Wright, 999. But basically like the whole point of what I'm saying is that like I feel like people get too emotional in certain aspects, which is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to get emotional about like, your favorite. Well, yeah, but like in overall, it's not a bad thing to get emotional about like something you're very passionate about. But at the end of the day, you gotta remember that it's like
it's not real.
It's a medium. It's a
medium. It's not real. The screen, bro.
Just
what's
log
that
off.
Tyler the Creator tweet? That's the best one.
Just log off. Just close your eyes, bro.
Oh my god. It's all in fun and games. Just don't take it too serious. I feel like I'm talking to the internet. Like it's just not going through because it's like anonymous.
People will do what they want.
People will do as they want on the internet. That's just one of the rules.
That's why I think we kind of are on the edge, like in that weird in between spot between the millennials and the Gen Z, is where it's like when you were a millennial, it was sort of like the internet was this weird space where a lot of people weren't on, and you were kind of a weirdo if you were spending all your time online.
Yeah.
And everybody had usernames that were not their real name.
Yep.
And it was all this like kind of cringeworthy stuff or whatever. But with like Gen Z, it's so natives. Tied into they're natives to it. Yeah, it's also tied into their whole personalities where it's just an entirely different thing, and we kind of are in that weird space between like we understand that, but at the same time we know that it wasn't always that way.
Yeah, because like
I feel like that's partially because we like when we were younger, we didn't immediately the internet wasn't as big when we were younger. Like important. When we were like teenagers or like young, like I shouldn't even say teenagers, like maybe like before the age of like 12, the internet wasn't as huge as it is now. Versus now being a 12-year-old and like the internet is like what it is now. I'm so glad I'm not 12 and the internet is what it is
it's
now.
Fucking terrible.
I would be so overwhelmed and just I wouldn't even know I probably wouldn't even be on the internet. I would try not to be.
Isn't that crazy how like we grew up in an age where like kids
like perfect time, I think.
Yeah, kids our age, we had our friends' phone numbers memorized. So at home phone we call, and we actually knew how to do like 3-way communications with a home phone.
No,
Yeah.
But nowadays we look around and kids have like these like better phones than us.
Oh yeah,
And,
iPhone.
Yeah.
iPhone. There's a button to merge. You just
like
pick who you want from your contact book, and it'll just merge the
Like
call.
I remember when I was so excited when I got my freaking my flip phone back in middle
I
school.
remember getting a phone. My first phone was a piece of shit.
I'm like back when the internet was like trash.
I didn't even
like,
use it.
I all used it was for like RuneScape and like YouTube, and YouTube wasn't even that good back then.
Yeah, just YouTube. Yeah, YouTube sucked back then. Now
All it
YouTube is
was
like
a
this
bunch
of
mega
AMVs.
corporation.
There was a lot less money in it back then. You could tell there was
Yep.
so much less money in YouTube back then.
Now it's like all money,
Yeah.
Friggin-
which is inevitable. Like it's bound to happen.
Of
right?
course.
Like Facebook.
Yeah.
I remember when I first made Facebook, it was not like what it is now.
freaking VR was a dream back then. God, I feel so old.
That whole
We're getting
segment,
old.
My grandpa's.
It's not a bad thing.
I know. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's like the whole like we memorized like 10 numbers each at a time, which is true, but it just sounds like when you put it in
Like,
perspective.
I remember when I used to call Reed. I dialed Reed's phone number in like 2 seconds. Like that's how quick it was.
Well, like I didn't have a phone early enough, but I know I talked to my sister sometimes where she had like the flip phone where you only had like the 1 through 9 on the numbers, and it was like ABC on the one.
Oh yep,
Yeah.
I had
And
that.
DEF.
on my phone.
They used to be so fast with that. Like people were so quick with that. I don't understand how people could do that.
Texting was so hard back then.
Yeah, I don't think I could do it.
Like, I get a text message, I
Do you-
panic. Like, how the fuck do I do this again?
I had a conversation with my coworker who was born in 2001 or 2000. He was born in 2000. No, he was born in 2001, so he's 20 now. But do you consider? And to answer this question before, well, I'll ask it. Do any of you guys consider yourselves 90s kids? I was born in 1996, and I
No.
don't.
I was in
Yeah, I
95.
don't.
Yeah, not at
Yeah,
all.
I
No.
don't.
I,
Because it's like I was talking to him about like my childhood, like what I remember, and like everything I remember was like 2000.
2000s.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
Yeah.
2000s kids. Yeah.
like all my
Yeah.
memories come back when I was 5 years old, and I don't remember nothing that before that. I'm like, oh,
Yeah, we were just like the point of the conversation was just about like how like he didn't know how old I was. I think he thought I was like 21,
Yeah.
but then I told him I was 25. But I told him, well, he told me that like a lot of like 25 and older people are just like super cringy, and like some of them their like whole personality is like Disney or like this. I don't know, like they're just sort
I
of
feel
like they
attacked
act
right
like
now, actually.
parents.
That's-
Well, okay, if
That's
you feel
everyone
attacked,
our age. Like they say,
Yeah,
they're
I know.
They say they're 90s babies, and they list everything from past 2002 and stuff.
yeah, it's like you're not a
90s.
90s baby if you were born in 1996.
like
I'm
they're
sorry.
super cringy, and they
Yeah.
always talk about Disney. Okay, what can we? Just,
Yeah,
let's relax a
I
bit,
feel like
please.
being around people like who, I'm not including you guys, but like people I don't know who are my age. They make me feel so old. I don't know what it is. They just make me feel incredibly old. Like just like the way they talk and like, I don't know what it is exactly, but like we're the same age, so it's like I shouldn't feel old.
Do you understand them? Like, do you understand? how
No,
they-
well, no, I do, but it's just like the cringe. Like some of the stuff is just like so. I don't know what it is. It's just
That's-
like hearing them like talk, or maybe because like some of them are parents. Like I don't know. Like the
Well,
humor changes when you become a
I,
parent or whatever.
I
but-
think that's just part of us being
middle
again like in the years that we were like in the middle, because I can talk to my sister Veronica, who's 2 years older than me. I can talk to her about stuff, and it almost feels like she's from like a different time.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
that's not to say like everyone my age is cringe. It's just there's some people that just really I don't know what it is.
It's like
just like
it's,
they have
it's just
bad
different.
personality.
it's some people
Yeah.
like it's like some it feels I feel like some other middle people, they kind of just like chose a side and stuck with it. Like some chose
Yeah.
to be Gen Z or some millennials. I feel like us, and I'm not
Yeah,
saying
that's
like
what it is. Like, they
exclusively
fall into
us,
a
but
brand.
like
Like they brand
ours-
themselves.
we kind of just chose to kind of just take both at most cases. Like we kind
Well,
of
we didn't really get to choose. It just kind of got
Yeah.
actually no, you're right. Actually, yeah,
Where it was.
it's kind of just like we kind
Yeah,
of
it
just
just
like grew
happened.
into it.
Yeah. And that's what I was saying. Like my sister, even 2 years before us, feels like this whole like different time period. Whereas we can't really go younger than us either, just because those were the kids that grew up where everybody was already on social media, even a couple years below us, where it's like,
Yeah.
Yep, that's true.
While everyone before you is like they don't quite vibe with social media.
Yeah. Just weird.
And we
Yeah.
and it's kind of like I feel both ways about it. Like sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I can
You
see
can
my-
Some of
definitely
it's
see
good,
where
some of it's bad.
Yeah, you can definitely see where people's ages are when, like, I guess, like, where, and not everyone, but for the most part, like, where people put social media on like a pedestal and like who doesn't. Because I like being on there, but I also don't. I don't need to go on.
Yeah,
there.
I don't.
Like, I don't need to
I
post
definitely
stuff
don't
out,
put it on a
whatever.
pedestal.
Like, I don't need to make my presence known on there. I just like reading, so like Twitter, for
Yeah.
example. I just like reading the jokes and stuff
I
on
can
there.
survive without social media. I am surviving without social media.
Yeah, you don't have any social media.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't have really any, but I understand why people use
Yeah.
it. Like it makes sense.
It does.
It's not a bad thing.
Well,
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I definitely don't want to make it seem like
Well,
it's a bad thing because
actually-
that's like the point of it is to like share stuff about yourself.
actually, I'm about to
Yeah.
go off. I'm about to go off on that topic, honestly. So I always thought, why do we need multiple social media outlets?
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, we explained this. We talked about this.
I know
already.
it wasn't live, so I can
You
say
guys,
say
you
the
guys
audience
talked
now.
about this. This is good though. This is good.
Not
So-
everyone uses Facebook.
I know.
Not everyone uses Instagram, and not everyone uses
I know,
Twitter.
but
Not everyone uses
but
Reddit.
I know, but it's like that's because there is options. I'm asking why. Like I want to know like why, because like all social medias do pretty much the same. They pretty much do like the same core things, and if not, you can just add the other stuff to everything. Like
It's just
because
it's just different. It's just different ideas though. Like that's why Facebook owns Instagram, but doesn't put Instagram stuff on Facebook. It's just ideas.
Exactly.
But it's like there doesn't even need to be an Instagram. Just have Facebook have like Instagram. Like you have Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, all these other ones. But it's like, and they all do the same thing. It's like when someone tells you like, oh, let me add you on this. Why couldn't it just be like at least two?
It's
like,
layers because
like Facebook.
I don't have a Snapchat anymore, but like, I would post certain things on Snapchat that I would not post on Instagram. So I think if you
Yeah.
add someone on Snapchat,
just-
you get like a more personal look
it
at
just seems
someone's
like a
life versus
waste, like-
Instagram. It's like what they allow.
Just put
like
all
Snapchat-
those-
I think that's a good way. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just saying.
You know, Snapchat people just get
No,
more
Malcolm.
personal.
Oh, pfft.
Snapchat people just get like super personal, but like Instagram is kind of like, I don't want to say like the fake stuff, but like maybe just like the, hey, look, I'm with my family, and then like Snapchat's like, hey, look, this is what I'm doing at 3 a.m. Whatever.
Facebook can do
Yeah,
that too.
that's what I was gonna say. Is like there's
And Twitter.
but it's just every platform works its own way into its own niche. Where it's like there's different places where you would post different stuff, and
Man,
that's all it is.
Man, I don't-
sometimes you don't want to post what you post on Snapchat to Facebook though, so that's kind of why it's different.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
man, I don't know about all that. Freaking because you can like I'm talking from someone who doesn't have a social media outlet, but from what I see, it's like just put all why didn't someone just put all that Snapchat, Instagram, all those features into one social media, and then like like it doesn't have to be Facebook, could be Twitter. A lot of people use Twitter too, and like call it a day because when you have all this information spread in different areas, it gets confusing. Maybe
Well, I mean,
maybe
I
I'm
think
talking
it's-
because I'm not used to it. That's more of like a
Yeah, if you had it, you'd probably be
Yeah,
more
like-
used to it. I think it's pretty
like
easy.
Yeah.
Gen Zers probably know like this like stuff in and out. But I'm like, it's just I talk like an old man. But it's like it just seems like
Like if news
a-
breaks
a
on
logical,
Facebook,
like,
I mean, you're
solution.
going to see it on Twitter. It's not going to take long. Like if, well, I don't want to say a hypothetical, but like if somebody important passed away or something like that, you
gonna
would
be on-
see it everywhere. I mean, it's not just
Yeah,
going to be
like
on
there-
Facebook.
there are things that you want to look at on Instagram, and there are things that you want to look at on Twitter. Like it's just
Exactly.
it's different spheres of consumption,
It's just-
even.
to
And
me-
different communities
to
too.
me it's
Yeah,
to-
different communities completely.
man, it's to me it's just like it's just the same thing with a different skin.
No, because you do not
No.
get the same people on Facebook as Reddit or like Snapchat and
Okay,
Twitter.
well, okay, I'm
It's
talking
just
about I'm talking about mainstream, like Reddit and them boys.
No, Reddit is definitely mainstream now.
Yeah,
I think it is. I definitely think Reddit is.
I put
4chan, no, I don't think 4chan's up there, but Reddit is definitely mainstream now.
well, it depends. Like, what do you mean by mainstream? Like mainstream of of computer users, or mainstream of just like the casual masses?
I think, I honestly both, because there's news on Reddit. I mean, like I think when you start just putting things like news or like whether or like, well, Reddit's different because it's all different subs, like different forums for like different groups. I can't really say it's the same as all like, like Facebook, because Facebook is just like Twitter kind of. You can post whatever.
I would put Reddit in more of like the 4chan.
I would
not
still
like 4chan.
It's got a
like
lot of people. I'm
just
just basing it on people, like how much people use Reddit. A lot of people use Reddit, so it's kind of hard for it not to be mainstream when so many people use it.
I'm thinking more like
I think it's probably in like a second layer because it doesn't have to really connect to your actual identity. You know,
That's
where
true.
like Twitter
That's
or
true.
Instagram or Facebook would.
Yeah. I no one knows. I don't have my name on my Reddit, so
I would put Reddit.
Yeah,
I would put Reddit.
I hope you don't.
Yeah, but I also don't like post a lot on there. I like reading. I'll comment every now and then, but like I just like reading.
Yeah. I would put Reddit more of like the the masses in terms of like people who like spend a lot of time on a computer rather than like your average walking everyday person. Because like with Facebook and Twitter be doing, like they're more commercialized in terms of like situations, like you got companies dipping in those. Well, Reddit,
they have celebrities on there. They'll do like ask me anything.
They do, but it's like,
and you can ask them anything.
I mean, they
answer. Well, they don't answer everything, but
yeah, they do. It's like I don't know. Like when I think of mainstream, I'm just thinking like your average person is gonna have either an Instagram, a Snapchat, a Facebook, or Twitter. And if he has a MySpace, he's old. So it's like,
do people use MySpace still?
Yeah, there's still people who use MySpace.
There's probably like hipsters on MySpace or whatever. But I mean, I think that's the whole thing you're talking about, is that where like your Twitter or your Facebook or your Instagram, that's usually associated with like your actual identity as a person. It'll have where you go to school and where you work and all that. You have to be
verified if I'm correct about that.
Yeah, but with like Reddit or something, you can still have your Reddit and do whatever you want, but you don't have to. Yeah, you have a little bit more anonymity. So I guess that's the layers to it, where there's all that on the top.
And that's what I'm talking about in terms of like those four, like the mainstreams, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram. Why couldn't we just have that like limited down to 2 or 1? Because they relatively do the same thing, in certain areas. Like you can still message people, you can still private yourself, have your separate groups, pictures, run videos. And like
I guess there's like a little bit of a difference though, because like people our age aren't really posting pictures on Facebook, but we'll post a lot of pictures on Instagram, but you'll still message people through Facebook.
Yep. See that gets way too perplexed. It doesn't have to be that like complicated.
I think it's different when you're not there versus being there. I'm not trying to do.
No,
I didn't do it like that. But it's just different when you've been on there for a while. Because I've had Facebook, but I also don't.
Yeah, I get that.
Post statuses and say like, I'm at the Cheesecake Factory or whatever. Like I don't do that. I don't even know why I'm on there still. Honestly, I go on there every now and then. I don't look to like post updates or whatever, but I am still on there and I check it like maybe a couple times a week.
That's I think that's why people are still on Facebook, is just because everybody's on Facebook.
Yeah,
so
I get that.
You know that somebody's going to be there. You don't have to do anything about it, but you know that they're there.
In fairness, I visit YouTube like every day. So.
Oh yeah, me too. I do that.
Yeah, we all have our poisons or whatever. So.
It just seemed to me like, because like there's not really a platform much like you, like something that can very contest YouTube in terms of like just like a full free video streaming service or like creating video. There's not really a platform that can like contest it. It's a very monopolistic area. Well, you have like all these other social media outlets, like there's like 4 of them. And I'm like, what's the difference between like all of them that makes them different? I guess the different like features, but it seems like it's just the same thing with like a different coding, with a Twitter icon slapped on it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's like the content is not that different. It's just the way people interact with the platforms that's different.
Yep.
Yeah, I get you.
Exactly.
I get that. Oh my god. Well, there goes one of my rants.
Are you guys cool to wrap up? Or you guys have any finished?
Yeah. I was gonna say I'm good.
Again, Marcus said 45. It's been like an hour and a half.
Yeah, we're 30 minutes past.
Yeah, but that was really interesting discussion. Like that was a good talk, guys.
If
We're
you,
keeping
if
this
you
in or
like
we
these
cutting this?
podcasts, we'll be here again wherever you get your podcast from.
Are we are we keeping this part in or are we cutting this?
Well, I don't know.
Keeping it
How do
in,
you guys want to deal with editing?
Oh,
Because
I can.
it has to happen, but
Oh
it's
yeah, there's
just-
we have to
definitely a lot of editing.
Just
parts.
upload the raw clip.
No, yeah,
No
That's the
editing.
Patreon. That's
yeah,
the
we, that's
Patreon.
Patreon.
Yep.
The raw is for Patreon.
Advertise that at the end.
I don't know. I'm very stickly about like certain things. So I'm not sure like what you guys wanted to keep and what.
I don't think anything we said was too crazy.
Well,
Maybe like
there was
one
a
or
bit.
two things.
Yeah, there was one or two things,
but like I think for the most part, most of it was pretty podcast friendly.
hold on.
Yeah.
Let me just hold on. Well, here I wanted I wanted to cut it, but
recording has ended.
not yet.
Thanks for listening, guys. Tune in next week.
Doing
Alright.
a double ending.
And girls,
We've been the Five Guns.
And then next week we'll talk more about our stances on the Jews.
Yep.
No, we will not. No, we will not. No, we will not.
All right. See y'all later.
All right.
Part has already been cut. No one's hearing this